This is a box of model trains that I bought on eBay for, I believe, $20, and today I'm going to be unboxing this. I've already taken all the labels and everything off, so I can just get straight into it. It looks like in here there are a whole bunch of packing peanuts, so I think everything in here should be wrapped up. It looks like we've got some stuff in here. In here, and here. So I'm just going to search through this box first, make sure I'm not missing anything else in here. Maybe I am, actually. I'm going to set this to the side, and then we'll go through all the few little packages that I just pulled out of here. So to start, I'll go over the less interesting stuff. First off here, this is a bag of parts. It looks like it's a mix of everything. It's got cabs, worm gears, wheels, motors, just about everything you can need. I'm going to have to go through this afterwards off camera and clean it up, organize it all, see what I can use. But it looks like there's going to be a lot of usable stuff in there. Next up are two parts I didn't even think were included in this. This looks like just the basic frame for an AHM switcher. It is in incredibly rough shape. I don't know if I'll use it. I could send it to someone though. And we've also got what I believe is the tender for an AHM engine. It looks like whatever engine this is had an actual reversing light, which is kind of cool. But I think next up, I can get into these more interesting packages. But something tells me I need that box cutter again. This lot, if you couldn't tell, is mostly all steam locomotives. First, what you'll see in here is probably going to be a few shells and a few tenders. Looks like the first thing to come up is another very beat up shell. I believe this might be out of an AHM steamer of some sort. I know they had a bigger style of steamer like this that was really similar to River Rossi's. I've never owned one, but that shell is in quite rough shape. This right here is a Tyco, what is it? A Tyco 060 tender. I've actually got one of these, and this is part of the reason why I bought the lot. Not this tender, but there's some other things that'll help my life out a whole bunch in the near future. Then this might actually be another River Rossi tender. This is off a Chicago Northwestern engine. Both of these here look like lifelike Union Pacific tenders. I had an 040 that had one of those a while ago. It looks like this might be a Mantua 040 tender. This one, it looks like this is a Play Art PRR tender, which I've actually got a complete one. And it looks like we've got a Missouri Pacific tender. So let me set these aside, and we can go take a look at all the engines in here. All those bits are lined up in the back, so now I can go through this, which should contain all of the engines. And bear in mind, this lot only cost me $20, excluding shipping. First up is one of the main reasons I bought this lot. This is what I believe to be an old, what's the company's name? I believe this is an old Aristocraft 040. I've seen these around, and I wanted one for quite a while. I think one of the, I'm not sure if any of these tenders actually go to it, but I'm pretty sure at some point I might be able to find a tender for it. But it's a really cool engine that I can have sitting around for a while. Next up, it looks like we've got one of these play art things, and I'm assuming this one's pretty broken because, yeah, it's just freewheeling. I used to have one of these. It was completely broken. These things have a really bad reputation for being unreliable, so I don't expect that one to run at all. This right here looks like it's the exact same engine, except in significantly worse shape. Next up, it looks like we've got a Mantua 040. And now the last two and most interesting pieces of the lot. This is another Tyco 060, and this one's got the cab and the front light piece that I need to complete my other one. I might also use the shell off of this one, I'm not entirely certain, but I do want to get my other unit living again. And lastly, and this has been one of my favorite units to have around, if I can get everything else out of the way, this is an Aristocraft Uncle Tom. I've actually got another one of these in slightly better shape, which I bought for $15. This was one of the main driving forces of me getting this lot, which I really wanted another one. They're really unique and interesting steam engines, and maybe this one, if it's in good enough shape, I can restore on camera. So let me reorganize the stuff and go over all of it quickly. Alright, I've got everything lined up with its tender, or lack thereof, up here, and I'm just going to go over everything quickly. First off, this is an Aristocraft 040. I've seen these around quite a bit, and I've always thought that they were really cool looking engines, so now I just need to find a tender for this one, and hopefully this thing will run perfectly fine. This is another Aristocraft unit. This is an Aristocraft 060T. I actually have another one of these that I'm considering putting DCC in. I gave it a new motor and all that. So maybe I'll still have a DC one at the end of the day. My other one is, I believe, a Baltimore and Ohio unit or a PRR unit, and this one's an Illinois Central one. This right here is a Tyco Southern 060. I've had one of these for the longest time. This one I'm probably going to part out and use for cosmetic parts because all of this section is really nice, and I can use some good Tyco parts laying around. This is an engine that I don't think will run. This is in really, really rough shape, and this is a PlayArt 260. I've never seen any of these things run well at all, but we're going to try in a moment. This is an old Mantua 040. This thing isn't going to run because this wire isn't connected up to the tender, but we can test it out anyway. And then this is, again, another PlayArt 260. I don't know why that's such a difficult thing to say, but this one I don't suspect will run. I'm pretty sure it's got a cracked gear since I can just do this. So I'm going to go clean up a little bit, and then we can go test out all of these new engines. I'll be testing these engines out in no particular order, starting with the Aristocraft 040. I don't know if this thing needs a tender or not to run, but we'll see. It seems like nothing out of the thing. And it seems like for now I've got nothing. I don't have a good tender to test the thing with. So for now, I guess... Hang on. It does have a headlight. I did not see that. Whatever's up, the motor doesn't seem to want to run, apparently. I guess it doesn't need a tender to run. But I guess this will be a future project, as will all of these engines. Next up is the Aristocraft 060. The back of this engine's sitting really low for whatever reason, so I'm hoping it won't short out on the track. But I'll give the thing some power. And it seems like this thing's pretty locked up. I'm a little concerned that the frame on this thing could have some zinc pest, but if it does, I can probably find good use for this chassis and shell some other way. Next up is the Tyco 060. The drivetrain of this looks like it might be in a little bit of rough shape, but it's got all the cosmetics I need, so even if it does run, it's not a huge concern to me. And it looks like this one does. It's surging a little bit. See if I can get it to do a whole lap, maybe. Nope, it does not have it in it. I'll probably be using this thing for parts or something else, but for the most part, it has everything I need. Next up is a very, very rough looking model. This is the PlayArt 260. These are really weird engines. I've heard that these things absolutely never run, but I'm going to try anyway. I think I had the tender derailed. It doesn't pick up any power or anything. And it looks like, even regardless of that, the engine doesn't pick up power. So, on to the next one. Next up is the other PlayArt 260, which I'm assuming will have a cracked gear based on how we tested it out. Or not tested it out, felt it when we unboxed it. But let's give it a test run. And yes, it indeed does have a cracked gear. The last engine to test is going to be this Mantua 040. I'll give the thing power, and I'll see if I can use this wire from the rear to test it out. It for a brief moment did something. I think this engine might have had a smoke unit added too, but it felt like it was doing some stuff, but the thing, quite clearly, is not running. So this will be another future project. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully you'll watch some of these restorations in upcoming videos.